Circle 8.
Circle 8.
Circle 8.
Welcome to Circle 8. Gestalt techniques. The principle of the now. In order to promote awareness, the participant is encouraged to communicate in the present tense. This is what Passon's 1975 P162 called presentizing. If the person remembers the past event, the material is dealt actively in the present. This could be done by telling the client to be there in the fantasy and narrate the experience in a way that it is happening in the now. With this technique, the person also engages in an I and thou communication. Instead of talking about father, the person is told to talk to father. To remind the client of his activity, the facilitator would tell to communicate in the I and thou, here and now situation. Number 2, awareness continuum. This technique is highly related to the first one, wherein the client is asked to publish awareness in a moment-to-moment basis. The nature of this experiencing is focused more on the non-intellectual, non-analysis, and non-interpretative data, but rather on sensations, feelings, emotions, and reactions to experiences within the person from his environment. With this technique, Pearls gave his most famous line, "Lose your mind, come to your senses." Gestalt semantics. This refers to the use of words in Gestalt therapy sessions. The client is urged to use words that create a sense of involvement and responsibility. In the client's process of narration, sometimes the facilitator would let him change certain words and after ask him about the internal experience with new words used. Example, letter A. It to I. Facilitator, what is your hand doing? Client, it's trembling. Facilitator, take responsibility and say, I am trembling. Letter B. Can't to won't. Client, I can't say that. Facilitator, say, I won't say that, and tell me how you feel as you say the line. Letter C. General to specific statements. Client, people won't like the feeling. Facilitator, say, I don't like the feeling. Letter D. Should to want. Client, well, as my facilitator, I should follow you. Facilitator, try to change should to the word want and feel if there's a difference between the two lines. One can notice the dynamics of the flow as the facilitator tells the person to change certain words. The important aspect in this activity is the validation component, when the facilitator would ask the client how he feels with the new statements. Limiting statements are also corrected. For example, client, I'm just a housewife. Facilitator, take out the word just. But is changed into and. The word but takes away and separates while the and maintains the possibilities and begins to integrate and also tends to be non-judgmental in effect. Client, I'm self-reliant, but I'm careless. Facilitator, change but to and. Client, I am self-reliant and I'm careless. Facilitator, how do you feel with that last statement? Usually, the client would report a sense of integration in the last statement and would sometimes even speak of sounding like self-assured and accepting. The article of Paula Bottom, 1976, of which this semantic session is taken, contains more of this activity. Number 4. No gossiping. This rule is made to promote contact and prevent avoidance, especially in social interactions in the group dynamic session. Gossiping means that one is talking about a person when the person is actually present and could be addressed directly. Client, I'm disappointed with Linda. Facilitator, say the line to Linda directly. Client, I'm disappointed with you, Linda. Number 5. Asking questions. Sometimes in the processing sessions, questions are raised and yet these questions actually mean something else and not just information gathering. In a way, some questions are used to cajole and manipulate another person, if not there is really an underlying feeling. The facilitator will then ask the client to change the question into a statement. Client, isn't it late? Facilitator, change the question into a statement. Client, the time is late in the evening and I want to go home. The last statement of the client is a very contactful experience of his true want without trying to manipulate others to agree with him, as the first statement would tend to imply. These kinds of questions are to be distinguished from facilitative questions since the latter is basically information per se and facilitate into seeing or doing into a particular way so as to help enhance awareness. Number 6. Making the rounds. This activity comes when the facilitator might feel that a particular theme expressed by the person would be more pronounced if it is faced vis-a-vis every person in the group. Client, I feel awkward talking to people. Facilitator, say this to everyone in the group, one by one. I feel awkward with you. And then add your response as you wish. In this technique, the facilitator can also make the group respond spontaneously or in a direct manner to help the person being processed. This technique is very flexible and may involve not only verbal but also nonverbal communication. Number 7. Reversals. This technique is done well and used at the appropriate timing with good awareness. It could help in re-owning alienated aspects of the personality. This technique also facilitates self-expression, as in the case of confluence. Reversals have many forms. They could be in simple semantics. Confluence. Example. Client. I'm weak. Facilitator. Say, I am strong, and give examples of you being strong. Retroflections to expressions. Example. Client. I hate myself. Facilitator. Say I am angry with you and see if there's any image of a person coming to your mind. Or the nonverbal form. This would involve acting out of the opposite of the initially reported or presented behavior. For example, if the client says he is an introvert or manifests introversion, he may be asked to act out being introvert and observe how he feels with the experience. Sometimes, in taking this plunge to a seemingly unfamiliar behavior, the individual makes contact with a part that has long been submerged. The person is also offered other alternative forms of behavior, and that he does not have to be binded to his usual actions instead. He flows and makes adjustments to what would seem soothing to a given situation without jeopardizing his authentic self. Number 8. Exaggeration. This activity is closely linked to the awareness continuum. When a person feels, for example, a tension in his neck, he is told to exaggerate this tension and be aware of his experience while doing this activity. When a person taps his finger, for example, he is asked to exaggerate the tapping, and sometimes this tapping would lead into a pounding with the accompaniment of the feeling of frustration or so much more anger. This anger was diffused into a finger tapping situation. Number 9. Sentence completion. There are a lot of ways that this technique is presented. In observing the patient, the facilitator may conclude that a particular attitude or message is implied. The facilitator tries to validate this assumption by feeding a sentence related to what his assumption is. Care must be done while using this activity because the words do not come out from the client spontaneously. Otherwise, the sentence is the facilitator's own projection. However, if the sentence is a key sentence, the client will supply spontaneous development of the idea. Number 10. Empty chair. The person being processed in the Gestalt workshop is said to be in the hot seat. In front of this person is an empty chair. The person often asked to role play by speaking to a significant person in his life. He may be asked to develop a dialogue, writing his own script as he goes on. The dialogue will also be parts of him which may seem to belong to an opposite poles. Pearls called the first pole top dog, while the other the underdog. The top dog is roughly equivalent to the psychoanalytic superego, generally condemning, moralizing, and oftentimes bossy. The underdog seems to be passive, resistant, and makes excuses. At certain points, either the top dog or the underdog can identify with the alienated aspect of the self. but most often it is the underdog in general. These two roles are based on the individual's polarities, which is quite familiar to the analytic school of psychology of Carl Gustav Jung and the concepts of polarities of Taoism. The dialogue occurring between these two polarities is what we call shuttling. Pearls narrates that a lot of beautiful things can happen in this dialogue, for most of which is the concept of integration of the two elements. The polarity of strong and weak. The client, for example, might realize that he is really strong when he is weak. And it has been pointed out earlier, however, that the client must discover this for himself because it would not really do a lot if these things are just told to him, since telling or lecturing lacks the vibrancy and enthusiasm of self-discovery. Lectures also end up in some aspects as interjects to the person. Researchers had shown, Greenberg and Rice 1981, Jake and Greenberg 1986, that this technique increases awareness and emotional expression, and it is also proven superior to problem solving in helping people make decisions. Projection. Identification technique. Here, the person is asked to look or imagine a certain object and asked to describe it. Afterwards, instead of just describing the object as the object, he will be asked to describe it again in such a way that he is the object. Example, I am the computer right now, I am wide, and I show letters. The mechanics behind this activity is very much the same with projective test, i.e., in everything that we do, whatever we do, and especially how we do it, it is in a way projects our personality as the person is talking spontaneously about the object. There are certain associations that seem to be relevant to the person. Thus, when the identification is done, the process tends to emote certain feelings. Example, client. I am the water, people use me. Facilitator. What have you noticed when you said the last line? People use me. Client. My voice kind of croaked. My eyes are misty, and I really feel I'm being used by people. Number 12. Dreams. In Gestalt therapy, a dream is the existential statement of the person's life. This means that every detail of the dream is part of the person. Instead of interpreting the dream, the person is asked to relive the dream in the present and identify or even act out some of its component parts. The person is therefore asked to give voices to its persons, objects, on any combination of these elements. Therapeutic value of these dreams is based upon the increased awareness which comes from owning every aspect of the dream. Fragment parts of the personality are often revealed by what happens or by what is avoided in the dream. The aim of the Gestalt therapy is to help people gain self-support. Only comes from genuine integration of the lost components of the person, a coming back to the organismic valuing process, a recognition of the authentic personhood, regardless of how saint or evil it may appear, and the annihilation of vomiting of outmoded ways of coping, most often coming from rigid introjection. The person who has self-support possesses an independent mind, learns to make use of his own resources, and becomes less manipulative and dependent in securing things through others, which he himself can also do on his own. Self-support is not synonymous with self-sufficiency, while self-support is more spontaneous and acknowledges the boundaries between when he can do things alone and when he can genuinely need others. Self-sufficiency is more often associated with anxiety, thus preparing oneself for any eventuality, and sometimes would imply a phobic attitude towards help from others. In Nathaniel Branden's book Honoring the Self, 1985, he speaks of autonomy, which is more or less equivalent to self-support. In some aspects, autonomy does not mean self-sufficiency in the absolute sense. Autonomy pertains to the human being's capacity for independent thinking and independent judgment. It pertains to the extent to which the source of self-approval lies within rather than without. That is, within self rather than social environment. Autonomy consists of living one's own mind. When the person has self-support, he becomes in a way mature. Pearls defines maturation as the transcendence from the environmental support to self-support. Pearls, 1973. As Gestalt psychologists fondly say, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The self-alienated individual is a fragmented being in the sense that he is not in touch to several of the component aspects of his person. Every genuine awakening this person experiences vis-a-vis his true nature is like a piece of jigsaw puzzle put back at the right place. The implication of which is empowering the individual with a greater sense of self-support. There is a big difference between a self-alienated individual and an integrated person. In the former, there is anarchy within himself, thus the individual cannot harness very well his own energies. In the latter, there is a genuine abundance of potency for life. In paper, the process from dependence to independence, from environmental support to self-support, from stagnation to individual growth, seems very simple. In reality, such is a very difficult task. There are no overnight changes, especially when it comes to factors of growth and development. A Herculean effort which involves a lot of processes had to take place, and sometimes with so much pain, process that does not only have to take place inside the therapeutic rooms of a psychotherapist, but must be carried out on even to the client's day-to-day tasks. As Pearls poetically remarked on this phenomenon, to suffer one's death and to be reborn is not easy. Gestalt activities. Number 1. Simple awareness activity. A. Basic facilitators questions. 1. How do you feel? 2. What are you fantasizing? 3. What are you expecting? 4. What are you doing? 5. What do you want? 6. What are you avoiding? 7. What do you need? 8. What do you fear? 9. What is in your thoughts? Main question. What are you aware of right now? Activity number 1. Awareness continuum. A. External. That which comes from the senses. B. Internal. Feelings, body descriptions as the feeling sets in. C. Fantasy. Thoughts, plans, anticipations, and memories, that which is not included in the internal and external awareness. Add. Stay with the feeling. This means to exaggerate what is being felt. Example, stay with your anger and be able to identify that your anger is doing to your body. Used when participant is in impasse or in the state of integration to end of the session. Activity 2. Here, there. Steps. Be here. Describe your awareness of being here. Close your eyes. Be somewhere else. Question. Are you alone? Are you with someone? Where are you? How do you feel there? Be here once more and publish what is happening in your there using present tense. Number 2. Semantics. Purpose. To orient participants with basic semantics and Gestalt therapy, the nature of which is oriented in the present tense and active form. Example, I went should be I'm going. I saw should be I'm seeing. Letter A. It versus I. Example, it feels good versus I feel good. Letter B. It versus specific. Example, it is beautiful. Into the sun is beautiful. Letter C. We versus I. Example, we want to go now. Into I want to go now. Letter D. But versus and. Example, I love you but I'm angry with you. Into I love you and I'm angry with you. Can't versus won't. Example, I can't feel. Into I won't feel. F. Should versus want. Example, I should obey my parents. Into I want to obey my parents. Note, this exercise above are for practice only for further activities. However, it could also be used as a main activity. Example, say 3 things you should do to your parents and change should to want. How do you feel? Heavy semantics activity. A. Man is. Into I am. Steps. Ask participants to complete 3 statements starting with man is, then let them change man is to I am and add the completed statements. Example, man is special. Change to I am special. Letter B, I get what I want by dot dot dot. I manipulate others by steps. Ask the person to write down or complete the statements I can get what I want dot dot dot. So many cases as possible. Then change the line I get what I want to I manipulate others by dot dot dot. Example, I get what I want by crying into I manipulate others by crying. The facilitator must take note of behavioral and affective reactions. Letter C, I am not, or I am not, I am. Procedure is similar to the preceding activity, except that the person is to recall a situation wherein he fits the second description. I am patient. Change it to I am not patient. Give situations wherein you consider yourself impatient. Number 3, identification activities. A, rosebush. Instructions. Close your eyes and imagine a rosebush. Question. Where is it located? How many roses? What are the colors? Note. The nature of the descriptional guide is to help the person imagine, but the facilitator must make sure not to suggest. Steps. Let the person describe the rose bush. Number 1. Let the person identify with the rose bush. Make sure identification is rooted. Look for polarities in every aspect of the rose bush. Let polarities talk. End in the impasse or in the integration. Letter B. House. Instruction. Imagine a house. Note, the steps that facilitate are the same with the rosebush. In this activity, however, materials relating to strengths and weaknesses would most often come out. Letter C. Stream. Instruction. Imagine a stream. It may not necessarily be running water. Questions. Is it a big or a small stream? Is it deep or shallow? Is it clear or murky? Note, the stream is one of the best activities in identification. Most often this is due to its dynamism compared to the house and rosebush, which is more static in description. Letter D. Antique shop. Instructions. Imagine that you are in an antique shop. What object attracts you the most? Note, the focus here is what the material before or how the object was being used before, but processing may not be limited to this alone. Letter E. Diver. Instructions. Imagine that you're diving down the water and you're seeing something which is not common to the sea, but it is more of an object in the land. What is that object? Example, I'm seeing a car, a junk car. Letter F. Dream. One's dream is an existential statement of a person's life. It means that all aspects of the dream is the dreamer itself, showing his expectations, fears, etc., state of life. Steps. Recall and narrate your dream. Narrate the dream against as if it was happening right now. Identify with the elements in the dream. Look for polarities and let polarities talk. If the dream is not finished, you could suggest to the dreamer to finish it or continue it. Note, the dream is the most important identification activity. Number 4, Brandenian and John O. Stevens sentence completion. A. Brandenian. Examples, every time I talk of mother, father, brother, etc. Next, when I die. Next, if I could only change the past, I want to change the time that. Next, if I was really very rich, very poor. Next, every time I'm in despair. Note, the nature of Brandenian stem is non-directional. A facilitator can create his own stems preceding with when, if only, every time, etc. John O. Stevens stems. Example, if you truly know me, you will. When you get mad at me, you would. I expect you. If you were honest with me, you'll tell me. I want you to. I would surely be angry or happy at you if you. You would make me fall in love with you if you. Note, The nature of the John O. Stevens stem is contact oriented. It involves a conversation of two persons in a very straight and direct manner. Although hypothetically laden, the facilitator can create his own stem. Number 5. Miscellaneous activities. A. Secrets. Instruction. Participants are given pieces of paper. They are told to write one secret per paper, fold it, and place it in a box. Individually, each is asked to pick one paper at a time and share whatever secret it is in the paper as their own secret. The rest of the group is then asked to share the feelings about the secret being shared. The group is to be reminded to spare moral judgment in giving their sharing. Letter B. Emotional exercise. 1. Towel. Instructions. The group is asked to pair up and choose A and who's B. Each pair is to prepare their towels, preferably each towel which could sustain extreme tension. Steps. 1. Person A are asked to imagine things, attention, to reward, love, anything that are already theirs. They treasure so much, something that they can't afford to lose, something they could say, "This is mine." Persons B are asked to imagine things that they want badly and are not given to them, and slowly say the line, "Give this to me." As they are slowly saying their respective lines, let their emotions show into their towels. Note: let each person in a pair experience both sides. After this statement, the towels are to be set aside. During the preceding lines, the participants may reach out to partners. These lines are the following. A. Please take me for what I am versus I won't. B. Please don't leave me versus I will leave you. C. Please don't be hurt versus I'm hurt. D. Please forgive me versus I won't. E. You changed versus leave me alone. Letter F. Please love me versus you don't deserve my love. Take note that there are two persons involved throughout this activity. B2. Anger. Instructions. Participants are distributed, making sure that enough space is given to avoid unwanted incidents. Each participant is provided with a pillow with hands on the pillow. The facilitator proceeds with hypnotic suggestions. Let the word anger flash into your mind. Intervening instructions between hypnotic suggestions would be slowly tap the pillow. Increasing in frequency, the facilitator's prerogative. Participants are to repeat the statements like, I'm angry at you. B3. Love. Instructions. Procedure is similar to the anger emotional exercise, except that love and compassion are focused in one's thoughts. Instead of tapping the pillow, the participants are to show these emotions by hugging and caressing the pillow. Number 6. Climactic activities. To end Gestalt session, climactic activities are not necessary. You could end the session after dreams and let them write letters to themselves. A. Journey. After relaxation exercise, hypnosis, the participants are told to dream of making a journey with 5 most significant persons in their lives. As the journey progresses, the person leaves one by one, from the last significant to the most. The participants are told to feel the sadness and the loneliness that comes from being abandoned. They are also called to recall all their frustration and failures and the feelings that come with it. All these are executed in accompanying music chosen especially to induce desired effect. Letter B. Volcano. The participants are told to assume the stance position. Stance refers to the prawn position on all fours. They are instructed to put all their failures, frustrations on their back and feel the tension getting heavier. At a peak point, a countdown is set. At the 0 count, participants are to shout, "This instruction is previously said." This may be repeated accordingly if necessary. After this, they are to assume fetal position. Accompanying music is provided for positive stroking. C. Pride. With carousel setup, facing each other, inner circle and outer circle, taking turns, sharing about the things they are proud about themselves. The circle turns and the process is repeated. Letter D, positive stroking. With the same setup in pride, they will take turns giving appreciation to their partners. The carousel turns again, still to their partners. The participants repeat the Gestalt prayer to concerned parties, parents, friends, etc. Finally, they say it individually. The Gestalt prayer: I am I, you are you. I was not born in this world to live up to your expectations, nor are you here in this world to live up to my expectations. But if by chance we meet, it's beautiful. If not, it cannot be helped. The fact that we are here, it's worth a try.